Suneeta. Last year, you were also associated with Hangama Artist Aloud. You were there, I think, at the concluding part of the show. Yes, and this year you have, yes, and this year you have released an anthem, Vaada Karo. So tell us about your association with Hangama Artist Aloud.
Well, everybody knows Somni. She is the lady who runs the entire the independent artist platform. I have known Somni since my channel 3 days, actually. She herself is a lovely singer, and both of us have been friends right from the word go. And she has been also watching my career, seeing me release all my music, really believed in me as an artist. And she's also been watching my struggle as an independent artist. I was probably one of the artists who inspired her and motivated her to do what she's doing today, because she realized how difficult it is for people who are not associated with Bollywood to promote themselves. So as a result, when one of my releases was kind of released into oblivion, so to speak, the latest one, Vakt, I was supposed to do it with a record label, and then the whole thing just literally fizzled out in front of my eyes. She just picked it up like as if she was saving a baby, and she picked a few of the songs that she really liked, and she put it on the Artist Aloud label. And this was, I think, so many may correct me, but I think it was around 2009, 2010, I think, around then. And ever since then, I have been with Artist Aloud.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about your anthem. How did it come about and all?
Well, Vaada Karo was actually written a very long time ago. It was for another project, for something called Planet Alert, which, it was about 11 years ago. And I wrote it, it just came out, when I was just looking out of the window one day when I was pregnant with my daughter at the time. And my daughter is 11 years old now. And I was just looking out of the window and I was thinking, like, what kind of a world are we leaving for our children, And the words just started coming out of me, this whole rivers drying, children crying, trees are falling, people dying, ice is melting, snow caps shrinking, globe is burning, no one's thinking, weather's changing, clock is ticking. So all of that just kept coming out. And slowly I kind of started realizing that this is becoming a song. And then I was in the process of recording it for Planet Alert when their website actually packed up, and they didn't really need the song anymore because their whole project actually fizzled out. So then we kept the whole thing on the shelf. I had this beautiful composition by Dhruv Ghanekar, immensely talented producer, and then we left it there. So we have World Environment Day, which happens every year on 5th of June, and I performed. So I said, why? And I had already been doing a lot of work with Arabi Rocks because I'm with the Acorn Foundation, and I've done several vocal workshops with the slum kids, and really worked closely with them, and I'm very fond of them, and they all knew me. I said, why don't you all impromptu come and play on the song? And they did, and it worked out so beautifully that I just decided to completely revisit and reproduce the whole track. And we went back into the recording studio. We got the Dharavi Rocks boys in. I got one of them, Balaji, who calls himself Crazy B. I got him to actually write lyrics. I sat down with him and helped him put it together. And he came up with this beautiful Hindi rap, which you hear. And the whole track took on a completely different face. And that's when I said, okay, now this has to be a video. Then I started looking around for the money to make the video. As independent artists, we have to look around for that. And then I came upon Somni again. She gave the idea of Wishberry. And she said they're a crowdfunding platform and they'll be able to help you. But that also needed a lot of work on my end, because what they do is they facilitate the whole thing. They give you the platform and you have to reach out to your whole friends and family and your social network and everything to get the money for it. So that again took a long period, because that's difficult as an artist. It's different if you're doing like a charity gig or something, where you don't charge as much as you normally will and you do the show. Here you're actually going around asking for money, and that was not a very comfortable process for me, but I knew it was for a good cause and I wasn't really earning anything from it. I did get a certain amount of money together, but then there were other obstacles. COVID happened and several other issues. And the whole project was held up. And then eventually I just made up my mind a few months ago and I said, this is it. We are in lockdown. I'm going to make the best use of my time. I started researching. I contacted WWF. I wanted it to be really authentic. And I said, if I'm not going to be allowed to go outdoor and shoot, if I'm not going to be able to do this big scale video that actually an anthem needs, I'm going to actually make it big scale even without doing that. So I researched and got a whole lot of other footage, and we put it together with footage from the recording session. And then we came up with what you see today.
Also, it comes at a time when we have actually forgotten about the environment and the climate change that's happening, because we are all thinking about COVID at the moment. So do you think, like, we needed it now, Vaada Karo, which talks about environment and climate change?
There is a distinct connection actually between pandemics and climate change. That's also something that I looked into, because yes, I wanted to see, how it will be applicable in today's scenario. And one of the things that I researched on, I found out that many of the root basic causes of climate change, they also increase the risks of pandemics. And that's what I've actually written right at the beginning of the video. So everything is really connected. It's about, it's when there is pollution, when there is dirt, when there is any kind of decay, then there's more likeliness of a virus and diseases. When the air is more polluted, then you're more likely to have, obviously your lungs get more affected, and COVID is associated with lungs. So, I mean, everything is connected. And this is actually a period where we have to not only look after each other, which is what everybody's doing during COVID. We have to wear our mask, we have to keep our distance, we have to stay at home, we have to tell people and educate people who don't know about it. At the same time, we have to take care of our planet, because it's all interconnected.
Take us through the music. How's the music, the lyric, and obviously the force behind it?
The force behind it, like I said, was my conviction, and my one of my inspirations actually is my brother, who works in the energy field, and I've grown up with him listening to. I've grown up listening to conversations in the family about awareness of climate change and the effects it has on us, and how it is basically behavioral change that is needed, and changes in of course, because of so much of technological advancement, there is a lot of things associated with it. Like, for example, if everybody's going to be given a smartphone, then you've got to be able to know how to use it in the right way. If you're going to be using transport, you have to use it in the right way, using green energy, clean energy, electric cars, whatever the case may be. So that was the emotion behind it. And the musical inspiration obviously came when the lyrics were written. It had a certain rhythm to it already. So when Dhruv read the lyrics, it was very easy for him to just kind of feel he immediately also told me in the brief exactly what I was thinking at the same time, which is basically, this has got a little bit of an anthem feel. And I was like, yes, it has this kind of a driving feel to it. It's quite catchy when you listen to it. And at the same time, it kind of makes you feel like, yes, let's do something. It's got that feel. You can also just listen to it and just groove and just feel good. I mean, music is music. It depends on how you interpret it. But the Dharavi Rocks edition is what gave it that absolutely, what shall I say, magical feel, where they got that rhythm into it, and they added a certain level of urgency to the whole thing. Actually, it's almost like a frenzy, when he comes in, and then it goes back to that, the lilting groove. Actually, it's quite representative of what I'm talking about. There is a certain urgency. There is something we need to do, but at the same time, we can't lose our own serenity. We can't lose our peace of mind. We need to be cautious. We need to be mindful. So I think it's a combination of all of this, even in the music.
Talking about independent music, when you were there, when you were rising, and now things have changed a lot. So what do you think about the independent scene now?
I mean, in the beginning, it was obviously we were just wanting to express ourselves, and it's not like I disrespected Bollywood or anything like that. Of course, I was also singing in movies, but I realized that I had much more freedom to express my ideas through original music. I had a lot of friends in the advertising industry. I knew people, Louis Banks, Ranjit Barrett, Leslie Lewis. They were all very friends of mine, colleagues of mine, mentors actually, so much older than me. And I felt like they understood me, and I wanted to do music that connected with them. And even they were not necessarily doing much in Bollywood at the time. It was like we had a kind of a music that we were generating that we liked to do. And so, at the same time, the industry was also supporting it, because we had, I suppose, the people in the pop industry at that time, I think we probably had very distinct personalities, and we had our own voice, we had our own image, we had our own ideas, our own lyrics, our own way of expressing them without really needing either a hero or a heroine in front of us, or we didn't have any director telling us what direction to go in. We went in our own direction, and then our videos were our little movies. And so it was a novel idea, and the industry also supported it. Some amount of money was allocated by the record companies, some, not enough, but some amount of money was allocated by the record companies, and we did the best we could within that structure, But I mean, just like anything new, the novelty of it eventually fades away. And, so the attention from the industry left. But we didn't leave, we were still there. But because we had kind of put a foot in the door, other artists realized, hey, listen, maybe I can do something without necessarily, singing in a movie first. You can eventually sing wherever you like, but to establish your identity and to make your voice heard, and to, to play music that is more that you can identify with, I think it gave everybody the courage and the confidence to do that. So a lot of the artists started doing it, and then independent artist platforms started to develop. And as a result of this, and simultaneously, the entire digital platform also started to increase. Social media started to come in. So everything was in sync, And during this lockdown, I mean, I'm amazed. The entire release is online. There's no launch party. There's no gig. There's no CDs. I'm sitting in front of my computer and releasing my album, with the click of a mouse. And so this is what has changed. This is what you can do today, which we didn't do earlier. That is one of the biggest differences. And I'm learning something new every day. In fact, even Artists Aloud, they are learning different ways in which, the next generation is teaching us how to do things through Instagram, through this thing, that thing, which I was always very reluctant. I didn't want to do all of that. But if I didn't do it, what would I do now? So that's the biggest difference. And it's huge.
Okay. Where do you think it's going? Because there's so many platforms. I think also it's become easy because people are supporting it. So where do you think the independent industry is going?
It's never going to go anywhere, really. I mean, what does independent mean? It means people who have their own ideas. It's people who want to express themselves, without actually waiting to get a break in a movie. So if you are a musician and if you have, you want to write a song, then you can do it and nobody's going to stop you today. So it's only going to grow.
We want to hear more music from you. So what's next after this?
I have a lot of unfinished music waiting around in my files. There's unfinished lyrics, unfinished music. Something has to happen to make that next one happen. I think, like they say, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. So there are a lot of other stuff also going on. So when a new song has to come out, you'll be the first to know.
Okay. Thank you so much, Suneeta ji, for your time. And yes, in these interesting times, please do take care of yourself.